I have to go. You know, when you're a little kid, they tell you not to be afraid of the dark, that there's nothing there that can hurt you. They lied. I knew from the time I was little that there were things, ugly, vicious, evil things, that came out once the darkness had taken control. Evil things that meant to harm me. They would shamble out of the darkness to leer at me, with their tongues out, their huge hands and claws waving in the air above my face, while they shrieked howling dirges that only I could hear. And the only thing that could protect you was light. Light and staying in bed. They couldn't get you in bed. Thus my childhood was one long nightmare. One long nightmare, night after night. Night after night, I would lie there, staring up at my hideous tormentors, until they finally disappeared with the coming of the dawn. Of course, going to the bathroom was a problem. A big problem, as I would have to get out of bed to go. And then they would have me. I tried to address this by simply not drinking anything after dinner and by going to the bathroom just before bed. But some nights, in the wee small hours, the urge would wake me up, and I was trapped. The evil shades would crowd around, laughing uproariously with mirth only I could hear, sticking their tongues out, making like they were about to grab me. And I knew they would attack me and decimate me the instant I left the bed. So I did the only thing I could. I wet the bed. Well, this happened a lot, and of course my parents were pissed. They were upset. They took me to the doctor, who could find nothing wrong, and I knew better than to tell him what the real problem was. I knew better than to tell him the truth. I had tried to tell my parents, and that I needed to sleep with the light on. But they told me I was a big boy now, and shouldn't be afraid of the dark, as nothing was going to hurt you. Yeah, right. Well, nighttime became nightmare. Until one day I had an inspiration. We had an old flashlight we kept in a drawer in the kitchen, a small one, which I took and hid under my pillow. So when I woke up that night and had to pee, I whipped it out, the flashlight, and shined its beams on my tormentors' red eyes, and they drew back like vampires before the cross, retreating before the flashlight's beam until I was able to reach the light switch and turn on the bedroom's overhead light, when they vanished. And from then on, I slept in peace, and if I had to get up, I had protection. I eventually acquired my own flashlight. I really liked the new ones with the bright LED lights, and I especially liked it when smartphones came in and I was able to use mine as a mini flashlight. Not that it was really necessary. Once I was living on my own, I could sleep with the lights on all night. Problem solved. Of course, this wasn't helpful when it came to romance. The women I met wanted to make love with the lights out, and I couldn't really explain why they had to be on. I told one girl why. And you know what she said? That I was nuts. Disturbed. What did she know? What are they? You might think they were shadow people, as some are just black outlines with glowing red eyes, some even wearing fedoras. But some are brightly colored, their bodies in vomit shades of green, pink, or yellow, their disfigured and malformed faces clearly visible in the darkness. Visible in the darkness. Perhaps they're Lovecraft's night gaunts, Lovecraft's ghouls. I'm sure old Howard knew of them. But whatever they were, light kept them at bay. Until tonight. I was shaken awake by a tremendous clap of thunder, and when I woke up, found I had to pee, the sound of the torrential rain outside adding to my sense of urgency. For several moments, I lay half asleep, and then my heart was in my mouth from sheer terror. The bedroom was in total darkness. Why were the lights out? Power failure? Were the lights out because of a power failure? Oh, shades of the haunter of the dark. As always, the leering ghouls were crowded around the bed, only driven back by blue-white flashes of lightning, which made them literally vanish. But in the end, it didn't matter why the lights were out. It didn't matter. The truth was, I had to go, and go badly. Lucky for me, my phone was under my pillow, and while its light wasn't that strong, it was enough to get me to the toilet and back. I jumped out of bed, and using my phone as a flashlight, I chased away the deadly nightshades and made it to the bathroom, where I encountered another problem. Men, have you ever tried to urinate while holding your phone in your free hand and using it as a flashlight? It's hard to do. So hard, I dropped my phone in the toilet bowl, and the light went out. I braced myself for assault with fang and claw, but instead there was a massive clap of thunder which shook the house, and the lights came back on. And I was alone in the bathroom. I went to retrieve my phone from its watery grave, only to find the water in the toilet bowl was bubbling and shimmering with a weird greenish light. There was something there. My phone? No. A greasy, slimy, sickly green tentacle shot out of the bowl and wrapped itself around my neck and began choking me. And as I died, I realized my tormentors weren't the night gaunts. They weren't Lovecraft's ghouls. No, not ghouls, but, oh my God! Cthulhu has risen. The moral of the story: no matter how high your aspirations, bodily functions still take precedence. Something like that. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So, again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,500 subs. Till midnight. Cheers. Well, I hope that silly yarn didn't annoy you.